One of Look into Bitcoin's newest indicators allows us to see the exact level of profit taking and capitulation in real time with near perfect accuracy. Here is the spent output profit ratio. Today we're going to be looking at the spent output profit ratio, and where better to start than the spent output profit ratio chart we've just added on lookintobitcoin.com. And first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to the original creator of this metric, Renato Shearer. If you'd like to follow them on Twitter, there you go. But what is the spent output profit ratio? Well, like we said, it is looking at the amount of profit taking or capitulation currently occurring on the Bitcoin network. It is looking at the UTXO and the US dollar value associated with that. Or very simply put, if you were to have bought a Bitcoin 5 years ago and sell it now, the value of that Bitcoin has increased substantially. Therefore, we can aggregate that with all of the other selling going on that day to see if people are in profit or in a loss on their position. And what we can immediately see is it's very clearly highlighting areas where lots of profit taking is taking place, typically in the latter stages of bull cycles or when price is getting very much overheated to the upside. And we can also very accurately time when there's probably a huge amount of capitulation in the market. At the exact price bottom, this gave the perfect signal in pretty much the last 3 significant dips we've had. Back here in the tail end of the 2018 bear market, we could see this was at its absolute highest at the pretty much bottom of Bitcoin's price action, right at the bottom of the covered 2020 dump, and again right here in 2022 at the tail end of the bear market. These periods of capitulation are usually very sudden and really clear and obvious. So when you get these signals in a bear market, probably best to try start loading up on some BTC. And as for the profit taking, it's not as clear with profit taking because we typically don't see people take profit immediately with everything they have, at least not those long-term experienced and very profitable traders. They're typically scaling out of positions as the bull market progresses. So we see these huge peaks typically occurring usually at the bull cycle peak, but also just a few days, weeks, months before that as price is really starting to rally. So if we just look to where Bitcoin has recently rallied to a new all-time high, we could see we had this huge spike in profit taking, which maybe gave us a little bit of a short-term indication that a cool-off period was needed. But also, alongside timing tops and bottoms, it gives us these great reaccumulation signals throughout bull cycles. Once we're in a strong uptrend and we get people selling at a loss, this is typically a really good area to start reaccumulating some discounted BTC. And again, if you are inclined to start shorting the market, if we're in a strong bear market and people are starting to take some profit and are actually making money, that's usually and historically has been a very accurate signal of a good place to maybe re-enter, reshort, whatever you want to do. And especially if we use this metric alongside something else in Confluence. Pretty much every metric you use, you should look at other metrics alongside it in Confluence because it really solidifies the accuracy of the signal. If you're looking at just one metric on its own, it's given a sell signal, another's given a buy signal, well, maybe we just can expect some consolidation, some choppy price action period. Whereas if everything's flashing sell, that really solidifies the fact that we're probably looking at a period of time where you should be considering profit taking. And if we look at something like the golden ratio multiplier, we can see once we actually hit these upper resistance levels alongside these huge peaks in profit taking, it's probably not a bad area to take some profit. And again, if we're hitting these levels of support as everyone is dumping at a loss, again, a great period of time to potentially start reaccumulating some BTC. And one thing I'm definitely going to be looking at doing is not just acting immediately on these signals, but we can kind of get an indication of where we may be in a cycle from the pattern we see in these. You may or may not be familiar with divergences, but if I just highlight, in fact, I'll remove the Bitcoin price section, make it a bit cleaner. So what we're looking for in divergences is where we see these dips where we have a peak and then another peak, but it's maybe not quite as high the next peak. So if I add back on the Bitcoin price after I've marked out a few of these divergences, you'll start to see a little bit of a pattern where maybe it indicates that we are seeing a huge amount of profit taking, but it's not as maybe aggressive as it once was. And this divergence typically results in a little bit of a price action peak. So we could see these divergences here. A lot of profit taking was taking place as Bitcoin broke past its previous all-time high above $20,000, and it set lower peaks at the all-time highs, which gave indications that a lot of the profit taking that was going to be done had already taken place. A lot of the older, more experienced, large market participants had probably already sold a huge portion of their positions, and therefore that indicated that maybe the bull market had maybe run out of steam a little bit. However, we can also look to see when these aren't diverging, when we're seeing these continue to increase. This gives us an indication that maybe we're not seeing the peak yet. If these are continuing to climb higher and higher, then it indicates that, again, we probably still have significant room to grow to the upside. So here is how I am personally going to be using this indicator. One, for buying, I'm going to look for huge dips into this region here. I'm definitely going to be buying BTC once we have a huge amount of capitulation in the market. And the same is true for the upside. If we have a huge amount of profit taking place, probably not a bad area to maybe at least add a trailing stop loss to your positions. And alongside that, if we start seeing these big divergences where even though price is moving higher, the amount of profit taking is going down and down and down, it indicates that a lot of the larger, more experienced market participants have already scaled out of their positions. So maybe now not a bad time to consider it. And again, if price is moving higher and higher, but the spent output profit ratio continues to climb, to me, that tells me we still have a little bit more room to grow. So if I use this in confluence with something like the golden ratio multiplier, I'm going to be looking to try and buy some short-term positions as BTC gives us these very short capitulation signals during a bull market. Also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to ensure you're receiving all of our content as soon as it's released. And make sure to check out all the resources we've discussed today, as well as the many more that are all available on lookintobitcoin.com, your number one source for Bitcoin information. So just to summarize, the Bitcoin spent output profit ratio, or SOPR, chart outlines the profit level of moved BTC for all network users. And when it's green or positive values, it indicates that everyone's taking profit on their positions at a profit. Their USD valuation of their unspent transaction has increased. They've made some money. However, if it is red and negative, it indicates that people are starting to lose money on their positions. The USD valuation of their holdings has decreased as they've moved those coins, presumably to sell. And this gives us a live view of the level of profit taking or capitulation amongst investors and highlights periods when large amounts of coins are likely being sold to new market participants or being scooped up by experienced BTC whales. Like we could see when we see capitulation during a bull market, that's a great area to accumulate. And once we see a little bit of greed and euphoria during a bear market, probably not a bad area to consider shorting, or at least taking some additional profit on your positions. And this chart, as well as every other chart you use, is best used alongside others for confluence. So make sure to watch this closely. Like we said, once we get these huge levels of capitulation, definitely consider scooping up some BTC. Once we get a huge amount of profit taking, especially once we're looking at these divergences to see maybe a little bit of exhaustion in the market, those are really good indications, especially when they line up with something like the golden ratio multiplier or any other on-chain metric for a huge amount of combinational confluence. If you like this video, then please visit lookintobitcoin.com, where you can also consider becoming a site subscriber to gain access to professional resolution charts, advanced macro and portfolio data tools, in-depth crypto industry reports, live and personalized indicator alerts, private TradingView scripts, and more, all for a fraction of the standard industry price. And let me know what your thoughts are on this new SOPR metric. Is it one you'll be adding to your trading and investing arsenal to use in confluence with others? Or do you maybe just stick to something a little bit simpler, just 2 or 3 key charts that you believe will outperform a vast majority? As I said, let me know in the comments below and on social media. I look forward to reading and replying to all of them. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.